Hey guys, Mix here, and in today's video, we are doing what we have all been waiting for with the half-scale NasKart. We are going to be doing the first test drive with its new engine out of a 1980 Honda CB750C. So if you guys are new to this build series, this has been the craziest thing I've ever done. And last video, we were supposed to be doing the test drive, but one small hiccup caused a video delay on getting this thing out of the shed and moving under its own power for the first time ever. And for the first time, this engine has been put in gear and ran for 20 years. But last video, the clutch cable snapped on us, which just absolutely ruined everything. But everything's all set up and ready for it, but we weren't going to just let that, completely stop us. We got what we could get done in last video, and right now, the parts aren't here yet. So right now I'm just waiting on the little clamps for the exhausts, the little headers, these little parts right here. These ones are bad. They lost like all the little flanges or whatever that they had inside of here that really held it down, because I can just put the exhaust straight through this and this serves no purpose. And then the new clutch cable is also coming in the mail as well. Those both are in the same shipping facility and they should both be here tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, then the next day. But right now, I'm just gonna set up the fueling, and once again, everything how it is right now is all gonna be mounted up way nicer. This is just a test drive, not the full drive like I said in the last video. I need to make sure that everything's working before we really pretty everything up. Make a custom dash with a ton of switches. Obviously I'm not just going to keep the key and kill switch, just dangling over the side. It's going to have a way nice shifter. Everything's just going to be so much nicer. But we just got to make sure, like I just said, that this will be ready to go. And we're not just going to be prettying up junk, So what we're going to be doing right now is the fueling, like I just said. So right here is a fuel pump. And this is off of the old engine that was in this. And all the time I had this, I thought it was an electric fuel pump. I always thought, how crazy, how quiet it was, because usually you hear a fuel pump when it primes and everything. But I'm like, wow, this thing's really good. And it pumped the fuel great. But it turns out that this is like a vacuum type, like mechanical fuel pump. So this whole line right here ran into the fitting on the top of the engine right there, and I guess when the engine created the vacuum, when you would start turning it over, it created a suction, pull the fuel up from the fuel cell and into the carburetor. So last time we tested that fuel pump and it was just insane. It pumps, 3.7 gallons per minute, which is way too much. That thing's just gonna pressurize these carbs and it's just gonna be a total nightmare. But this one I think should be able to do pretty well. So what I'm gonna do is tap into one of these little vacuum lines right here. Now I was gonna do this one just because it's just one line and I have this little fitting that I could just stick in there and then stick on one of the hoses. Then the hose will stick on the fuel pump. But this line runs a little bit lower than this one. This one's right on the top of the engine, so I really don't have to worry about oil getting sucked up really or anything like that. This one I would have to worry about, that one I would have to worry about that just a little bit. So I'm just gonna plug up one of these holes, probably just the side one, put in that fitting, and then I'll just plop the fuel pump and fuel cell somewhere until I just mount it up, just to make sure that that will function. I know it's pretty old, but when it was on there, it always started. I never really had to put starter fluid or anything like that in there. So let's just go ahead and do that real quick. Shouldn't take too long. I just gotta hook up the battery, and then once we see how that performs, then we're gonna maybe check that off the list of the few couple things that must be done in order to make this drivable. So guys, the battery's all hooked up, all the lines are ran, and there's a ton of excess line here, just because I need some clear line just to really see if it's gonna, flow through or not. But right now I'm just gonna crank it up. Hopefully the battery has enough juice. I really haven't put this thing on the charger at all. Probably help if I turn on the fuel. I'm not seeing anything yet. What I'm gonna do is just spray just a hair of starter fluid in there just to see if it'll fire up and create some more vacuum, because that pump is dry. Might need a little bit of help and get a little extra oomph going. I don't really even know if it'll start. Just in case it does, I'll put it on earmuffs. I'm still not seeing anything. I wonder if maybe there's too much line going up. So I'm just gonna try and crank it, turn off the fuel so the fuel doesn't get sucked back in, and then I'll pop this off the carb and angle it down and see if there's anything in the fuel pump getting sucked up at all. Alright, fuel is off. Alright, let's see if we got anything. Not a drip. So I just kind of took a step back and realized what I just did. I just hooked it up to a crankcase breather, and those don't really have much vacuum at all. So right now I'm just trying to find a good vacuum source, but I'm having a little bit of an issue. So first I tried this, which is just like a breather for the bowls, I believe. It's a whole rail that goes across all of the carbs. And then I also looked it up, and most of the carburetors like this, they have little fittings like that one right there. And all of them have it, but they're all blocked off. So I need to try and find a good vacuum that I can use to hook up to the vacuum pump so we can get some suction going in order to suck up the fuel. Now I am considering maybe just like cutting off the end of this, because it should be open in there, but that's kind of risky because I don't really want to mess with the vacuuming on the carburetors if it's already blocked off like that. So it's got to be blocked off for a reason. I need to try and find a spot that can be used and won't affect anything. Alrighty guys, so it is a little bit while later, and I just posted on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram or Snapchat, definitely go check me out. They're on the outro of this video. But I really just cannot find a dang vacuum spot that is like definitely a safe place to tap into and like run a hose into it. But in the meantime, while I let everybody see the post and comment on it, I'm gonna take this little suction cup thing, hook it up to the fuel pump, turn back on the fuel, and see if it works on there, just to test that the pump will work. And then once I know that it works, I can see, because right now it's starting to get late out, but by the time tomorrow comes, there should be enough comments on there, and I can see what everybody thinks. And then I can hook it up, knowing that the fuel pump will work, and we should be cruising from there. So simply just wedge this in there, make sure it doesn't leak out. Oh yeah, we got fuel flowing. Sweet. So now let's see how it does while going up. Because right now it was just kind of all going down. Alright, definitely struggling, that's for sure. And when I just put the line pretty much as equal as the pump as I can, I kind of on the same level, fuel started to come out. So, how the setup was before is the pump was above the fuel cell, so it has enough suction in order to get it out of the fuel cell and into the pump, but the pump was above the carburetor. So, if I can just extend the fuel line and mount it somewhere above here. Now I'm going to have these coils on a mount going across, so I might just mount the fuel pump on there as well, and then I can just run the line right down, and then there shouldn't be an issue. What I was just going to do to mount the coils and now mounting the fuel pump on was just a piece of flat bar, just put it across there, but the place that I get flat bar is currently closed, so I'm just going to go run there tomorrow. We could do that. And I can do that earlier in the morning, and then later on in the day we can see if the parts can come. And if they do come, possibly ride this tomorrow. But if they come the next day, then so be it. Just gotta wait on those parts. But I will catch you all tomorrow. So guys, this is the next day, and I just picked up some new flat bar. Now I don't need like super thick stuff like that. Just because, not a lot of weight on it. No need to get all that extra material. But based off of the Instagram post, what I can do, and I did think of this, but I wasn't exactly sure if it was safe to do, because, so what you guys said to do was to drill into the intake in order to get a good vacuum, run a fitting and run the hose and everything to the fuel pump. But what my worry is that the air fuel mist, like the mixture of it, that's getting sucked into the combustion chamber, if it could get rerouted and up into the vacuum that I'm using for the fuel pump. I was told that it will be fine, and that one if you use it on like your race carts and stuff like that. So that is what we're gonna do. I have a little tiny fitting right here that I want to use. This actually came off the old engine, and this was used for the vacuum, so should be pretty good. So in order to do that, I'm just gonna pull off the carbs quick and then drill just a little hole in there, stick the fitting in there, get it all nice and tight. And the reason I'm just taking off the carbs is because if any rubber or anything from the boots gets down in there, I don't want it to get sucked in there when we start it up and possibly, cause any damage. Definitely want the passageways to be all clean. And then once we're done with that, we can make the little mounting bar for the coils and the fuel pump. So I just finished up mounting up the coils, and I just zip tied the fuel pump on for now just because, you know, I'm not 100% sure if this will work. But I added on some extra line just to run it up, and I got the vacuum all hooked up, and I'm just going to run the fuel line just like this for now, just see if it comes out, because none of that is clear and I won't be able to tell if it's going into the carburetor, so that's the only way I can tell. I just put a little bit of like gasket maker around the fitting that I put in the intake boot, just because I don't want it to leak at all, and you know, it can't hurt. The battery is all back and hooked up, so let's give this another shot. Right now there's still nothing, and I feel like either the vacuum is like leaking or something, or this is just way too much of an incline for this, and I'm gonna have to either ditch this fuel cell and try and mount like a little gas tank higher up. So what I can do to test that is just pick this up, you know, have it a little bit higher than how it is, so it doesn't have to go like directly up, and try and use a ton of vacuum to get it just to the pump. I mean, the battery is starting to get a little bit low. I haven't charged this in like months. So I might have to just throw it on the charger just for a little bit, just so we could get a lot of crankage going. But slowly but surely, we will figure this out. So I just kind of plopped the fuel cell just up here for now, and I just ran the OG wire that was on there, or tube I should say, right to the fuel pump. So now I want to give this another shot. The little, like, nipple that comes out of here was a little bit wet, so it might have been sucking up just a little bit. Alright guys, so we're actually back here the next day, and that is because I cannot get this fuel pump to work at all. So I just went ahead and ordered a electric fuel pump, a super like way smaller one than the other one I showed you guys earlier, and it'll be perfect for this. But that's going to be coming here tomorrow, and I got the new parts finally in the mail, which is awesome. But if I could get these on today and get this thing basically ready to go, you know, after I put on the headers and everything, make the front engine mount, hook up the clutch cable without it snapping. And in the last video, I know a couple of you guys were saying that this clutch cable was too thin, but right here is the old clutch cable off of the motorcycle, and I'm pretty sure the new one is even thicker, and if not, then they're exactly the same. So there really shouldn't be an issue with this at all. Right before I began today, I just took off the clutch pedal and filed down the little hole and slot I made for the clutch cable, just in case anything was sharp in there and like poking into it. But I'm definitely a little bit nervous, because if this snaps again, then I'm just screwed. So let's go ahead and put that on, along with putting on the little header pipes that I have with the new exhaust clamps, and they have the flanges and everything, so these ones will actually be functioning, unlike those. And I know you guys want to see this thing driving right away, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw up a super fast time lapse of me just doing everything, the rest of everything. I could be working for like 2 hours, and the time lapse is probably going to be just a couple seconds. But I'm just going to slam everything out so I can try my best to ride it today. So let's get started. And some not so good news. The good news is I got a front engine mount made, all good to go, got all the exhausts on. I tidied up a bunch of other, you know, little small things. But the bad news is, I know some of you are getting nervous as I'm walking over near the clutch pedal. The new clutch cable snapped once again. On the first try of me pushing it down, same exact thing, so something is definitely not right. But I'll get back to you guys about that, because I'm not going to let that stop us once again. So pretty much the last thing that I really need to do in order to make this drivable, and once again, this is a test drive, not a full drive. There are a ton of things that are going to be done after this. I just want to clarify this, because I know some of you guys are still going to comment that I need an airbox. I know this thing probably won't run right, but if I could just get it to run and just move under its own power just for a little bit, then we'll see how it is. But I mean, how it's ran when I've had it open headers and just open carburetors, it's ran pretty good. Now, once again, I really haven't tested this running, but I have faith that this will be able to run strong enough in order to just move under its own power. And then second to that, I also need to just find a temporary place just to mount up the battery nice and securely. I plan on putting it back, you know, where I had the old battery before, but I need to try and find some thick wire to wire up, you know, the battery to the starter solenoid all the way from there. The wire that I have is just too thin, and it'll probably just burn right up once I, you know, try and cranking it. And I don't want to risk an electrical fire or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do a couple more things off camera, and then hopefully I could try and get this fuel pump going so we could ride it today. I just went ahead and just took off that little extension pipe that I had, and I put my finger over it when I cranked it, and there is a vacuum. So I'm thinking that that extra pipe, or tube I should say, I keep doing that, maybe is just making the vacuum not strong enough. So I'm going to try and move the fuel pump over here and then run the fuel over on this side and see if any of the stronger vacuum will work then, because we know when there is a vacuum, when I use that little hand pump, it did start coming out. So just got to keep trying. I just finished up doing a couple more things off camera like I just said before. I just kind of mocked up the battery in a little spot. It's pretty tight, it's not going to go anywhere. As I say, it's tight, just going around everywhere, but in all seriousness, that won't fall off or anything. I kind of ran the wires down, those three right there. They go from the wiring harness on the bottom up to the coils. I kind of ran those all together between the two sides of the engine just so they don't get burnt on the header. And then as you guys can see, I went with the old water bottle trick because I totally ditched that vacuum fuel pump, and I have another one on the way, like I said earlier, an electric one. But I could do this in the time being just so we could test drive it. So basically what I'm going to do is just put it right here, put it right onto this, and just have the fuel run. And I've actually been like filling the carbs with fuel, and nothing's been leaking out so far, so that's a good sign. And then that little fitting that we did with the hose, I just kind of clamped it all up and kinked it up so we don't have like a vacuum leak or anything like that. But right now there's like a thunderstorm beginning to roll in. I'm actually starting to hear the thunder right now, so I don't know if I should wait a little bit to take this out because I don't want this to get rained on. And this thing's literally like a big lightning rod, literally just bars on bars with this thing, so I might just wait a little bit, see what goes down. I'll catch you guys back once we come down with the decision.
Eventually.
It just got done absolutely downpouring like crazy thunder, but the storm is beginning to move out and the clear skies are coming. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to ride this today, but tomorrow we're going to be able to ride this. Now, as I said before with the whole clutch thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in gear, put it up on the stands like how it is right now, start it up while it's on the stands, and then the tires begin to roll. Then I'm going to rev it up, and then I'm going to have someone else lower me down, and I'm just going to go. I'm not going to shift it at all. I shouldn't have to. I'm just going to be in my backyard. But I think that'll work. Once again, just for a test drive, I just want to make that clear that this thing is far from done. I mean, all of this stuff is not, you know, good. Everything's going to be so much more organized, so much cooler, so much cleaner. But I will catch you all tomorrow when we ride this thing. Alright guys, so it is the next day. It is time. Not gonna lie, pretty nervous, but we have the back of it jacked up. I'm gonna try that, you know, whole thing that I explained to you guys yesterday, and hopefully this goes well. I'm gonna have the kill switch in one hand, just in case things start to go a little bit south, but first test drive attempt is a go.
2 hours later.
Alrighty guys, so as you guys just saw, we got it to run, and I'm probably not going to put this in the video, or I might not. I really don't know how much I even got on video, but we were trying to get this thing running for like probably an hour or so, and for whatever reason, now I know you guys are going to say the airbox, but the thing is, I've had this thing running, and running good. I revved it up and everything a couple videos back when I brought it out and started it up for the first time, but that was without an airbox and without an exhaust. We have an exhaust now, but even though there's no airbox on there, I gotta probably make my own. I know I'm not gonna do the pod setup because those usually don't work with this engine. But we moved the ground onto a better ground for, you know, the battery ground, and that definitely worked better. It was starting up way nicer, but then it would just die. So as you guys can see, we put on our very own airbox onto here. I mean, not airbox, gas tank, because the water bottle setup, it was just drinking it, and this was just honestly better, somewhat. But the new fuel pump is going to be coming in the mail later on today. But this video is already like 20 minutes long, and I know that this is very depressing, but I think we're just rushing this, and you know, you can't rush a build, and I'm just so focused on trying to keep that promise to you guys of getting it running like the next video, but it just keeps putting it off, and I'm just trying to get my way through that. But we just got to do this the right way. And I'm sure you guys will understand, because a build's a build. You run into problems. You know, we face the odds that we can, but the biggest thing right now is the sprocket down there. When I put it in gear, the force of me putting it in gear, you know, and everything, and it starting up in gear without the clutch and everything, the whole entire sprocket snapped off of the mounting spot. Now, I kind of was a little bit nervous about that. There were even 2 bolts on there, but the problem is that mounting spot for the sprocket is aluminum, and my welder can't do aluminum. The sprocket is steel. So lo and behold, that just did not mix. So what I'm going to do is have my friend weld it up. Super good welder, and his welder is very good as well. It, you know, it can handle aluminum, steel, everything like that. I know I just keep saying this, but next video or the video after that. Now, I can't keep any promises because this is really unpredictable. You really don't know what to expect with the build. How's the lighting right now? Is it like kind of shadowy? But like I just keep saying, we're just gonna come back stronger. I'm happy with what we got done in today's video. You know, front engine mount, the engine's all sturdy. I mean, when that thing started up, it was not moving at all. Like, did it look like it was moving?
Not at all.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna try and figure out the whole clutch cable snapping over and over again issue so we can actually put this thing in gear with the clutch and just slowly land into it, not just put all that force onto my welds. And I learned how to weld on this, which is not a great idea, but what are you gonna do? I think they're strong enough. I mean, we really haven't had any issues besides the sprocket with my welds from there. But I might just actually look into getting an actual clutch pedal because I think it might just be the way it's cut, but the little slot right there, there's gotta be something like pushing up against it or just it's uneven. I don't think it's the clutch cable thickness, but I don't know, we'll just have to figure that out in another video. I'm thinking about bringing the RM to the track on Wednesday. I'm going to try my best to get out there. It is a little bit of a drive, and I mean, that bike hasn't even been brought out of the shed since 2018. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be ending off the video here. Once again, I'm sorry. Honestly, I feel let down. I know you guys are probably let down, but the first attempt was made. Mistakes were made, but the lessons were also learned. So I think this really helped, like, kind of, in a way, rejuvenate our mindset with this and not just rush it. This thing's going to be a death trap, and we got to make sure that safety is our #1 priority, that everything's strong enough to really handle this beefy 750cc engine. So with that being said, check out my social medias. They'll be on the outro of this video. Instagram, Snapchat, I use the most. I just do behind the scenes stuff. Just, you know, when I'm not on YouTube with the videos, you guys can see what I'm up to. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends about the channel.